It's the Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Coach's Corner, fueled by Donut Country and McDonald's on 101.9, 100.5, 1450, WGNSSports.com, and Big G TV.
Our Coach's Show is brought to you in part by Dr. Automotive, the cure for your car. Professional auto repair, maintenance from ASE certified mechanics and master mechanics, online at autorepairsmyrna.com. Time to talk Oakland football. The Patriots winners 42-10 over the Cookeville Cavaliers, and it is always a pleasure to send Cookeville home with a loss. That goes back to the old days of it's crazy to think that they were district opponents back in the day.
That is wild.
You know, considering how far they are. And we went with Riverdale last night to Lebanon, and Lebanon was one of those old district opponents. It's kind of fun to have some of those old matchups for the old timers. I know there are Oakland fans that remember playing Cookeville and that kind of thing. So
yes, and back in the day, Cookeville, Lebanon, Gallatin, they always gave Rutherford County fits.
So those were some cool retro matchups. Had to deal with a lot this week, but I'm sure knowing that you can be at home and deal with some of these problems, it's okay. But rain forecast, what goes into making those decisions, and is that something that you do? Is that something that someone else on staff, or is it administration? How do you decide to say, hey, we're going to play on Thursday instead of Friday?
Yeah, you got to have the administration on board, of course. They'll have to be at every game, and so you got to make sure that it works for their schedule. And, of course, there's other sports that are starting up now, and you got to worry about, concerns with security and make sure that you can get those guys there. And referees have to travel. They're not going to have refs from your area anymore. So we had referees from Chattanooga, so we had to make sure that we could get those guys. And both teams have to agree on it. So we actually were having a region meeting. We were selecting our all-region team with all the coaches, and we got to talking about the weather. I didn't know anything about the weather being bad, and luckily, we were talking about it, and some people were mentioning moving it, and nobody had moved it yet. And
was that on Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, Monday morning. So, sent a message over to Coach Hennigan and just tried to see where they were. And of course, he was like me, and he'd seen the weather, thought about it, and so he had to work with buses and coordinate meals and all that. So it took a couple days to get an answer. I think Tuesday night around 10 o'clock we got an answer, and so we just changed our Wednesday practice from shells and helmets and shoulder pads to just helmets, like a Thursday practice. So we had one last day practice, but so did they. So ultimately we had a good Monday, Tuesday practice, and it worked out for us.
I think that if you're around sports like we are, it's nothing for like baseball to decide, well, it's going to rain, so we're going to do a doubleheader the day before, or and looking at the weather and doing that. But you're talking about a much smaller group of people that are affected. When you're talking about carrying 100 kids plus on the road in a bus and all the logistics that go around having a football event, it just takes a lot of coordination. So
it does, and like I said, I did get a chance to text Coach Hennigan last night and tell him that we look like geniuses by moving the game. We were happy that we got to stay dry and had a clean game, and ultimately I thought everybody kind of got their ducks in a row and they made the trip, and unfortunately our fans didn't always get the memo. There was quite a few empty seats. I think we actually did in the math. We actually lost money hosting a home playoff game. So that was disappointing. By the time you pay everyone that's got to work the game, we end up in the red. So that was very disappointing. Of course, you look up in the stands and they're not just half empty. They're like 3/4 empty. So apparently we didn't get the word out very good, or maybe people around here are just getting spoiled with first-round matchups being easy for Oakland, but that wasn't the case. I thought Cookeville did a heck of a job, especially coming out in the second half and, just taking it right down our throat and and scoring. We did have a quick start, but unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of people there to see it.
I think you're onto something when we talk spoiled, by the way. And it's what we can do next week. There's no guarantee of next week, even though you may be favored and all that kind of thing. And I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know that we've went through that in girls basketball, where it was just expected that we were going to be at the Murphy Center, and then it was boys basketball joining that. Well, last year there was nobody that went to the Glass House, and it's like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
So you got to enjoy this. If you're an Oakland football fan, there's a place for you to be there and help the team. And I don't think a lot of people realize that Cookeville made more money than you did.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. They didn't have to pay for ticket takers, extra admin to come in and work the game, the announcer, the guy that runs the Jumbotron. We had to pay 12 guys for security, that's required.
For a few hundred people.
Yeah. So luckily the fan to security ratio was very low, so we didn't have really any incidents. But at the same time, I think you look across the state, I believe Oak Ridge was probably favored. They go into a game where they're 9-1 and they're hosting the game, and then their season's over. And there's a lot of people that didn't get to see those seniors play their last game, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, I think it's just kind of a slap in the face to the players that give all this time and effort and work hard to make it to the playoffs and get us to where we can have a favorable matchup, in round one at home. But it's disappointing to see that people aren't supporting them, and I don't know what exactly was going on that was, happening Thursday night in Murfreesboro.
Well, I can give you a few more examples of that. Germantown fans go in as the number 2 seed, and they think they're going to take care of business and play the next week and whatever. Well, 2-7, Houston comes in and beats them. Independence last night goes to number 1 Clarksville and wins in overtime by a touchdown. You mentioned the Science Hill Oak Ridge game with Science Hill winning that in a 2-3. And there was yet another 1-4 game that went to overtime, Dobbins-Bennett and Farragut. And Dobbins-Bennett, after a weather delay, comes out and wins. Those are all 1-4, 2-3 matchups that we just mentioned, and that's only in 6A.
That's only in 6A.
You're not guaranteed, like you say.
That's right. So, like I said, I do think that the players deserve better. I do think that we got to do a better job of promoting it, maybe, especially if we're changing the schedule around or whatever. But, you would think that that would make things pretty cool to have a Thursday night game and have some people show up, maybe from other schools. But unfortunately, I don't know. Somebody got the memo that it wasn't going to be a close game, and actually it was really a competitive game that kind of got lopsided late.
Well, I'd also want to mention that this is a Cookeville team that played Lebanon in the last week of the regular season and beat Lebanon, the 2 seed. So,
beat them by 4 scores, so it was a slapping. So Cookeville was playing their best game at the end of the season, and like I said, that got our guys' attention, and I'm proud of the way we responded, not looking at a 4-6 record like some of our fans obviously did, but they went out and they prepared, and they started out really good and finished the game where it was supposed to be finished.
We're talking with Kevin Creasy and talking Oakland football. A lot of kids got touches in that game, which that's a norm for you. You're going to play 4 running backs in a close game anyway. I mean, it seems.
Right.
And it's good to have that depth and keep fresh legs out there. Craig Tutt, 144 yards on 9 carries. Justice Haggard, who's playing very, very well right now, 7 carries, 113 yards. Morton ran well. Kamani Bass, of course, Dante. So you got the job done on the ground, which is what you want to do. Anybody else offensively stick out in your mind on Thursday?
Yeah, I thought the offensive line did a really good job. Cookeville has really good size, especially at nose guard, and I thought we did a pretty good job of blocking. I thought that was kind of a point of emphasis to kind of clean up some things from the week before. Had trouble with Riverdale's defense, like so many other people do, and so we had some things we had to clean up. And then, you look at our special teams, we're doing a better job with that. And defensively, we got two really good inside linebackers, but then you look outside, Chevy Armour, one of our best outside linebackers, had another pick six. So
great name too, by the way.
Chevy Armour, yeah, that's like his second pick six, and I think it's his fourth defensive touchdown. So he had a heck of a game for us, and he's only a junior.
There were others. I think Colin Williams had 9 tackles, 1 for loss in that. And I don't think I had the defensive stats, but I didn't get a chance to see you last week. And when we did the broadcast last week, I got to call the name Gainer again. So, it was good to see him.
Kyrie's a heck of a defensive back that's been out, and now he's back healthy. And so, yes, we're a whole lot better with Kyrie Gainer out there.
Just having his presence out there. But sometimes when you have kids out, that allows you to develop some depth, which you all are really good at, and being able to fill some gaps with kids who are really ready to go next man up, and then all of a sudden they splash on the scene. It's like, well, where was this? But these guys, they've been working hard in practice every day.
Yeah, we always try to have 3 guys for 2 positions. If we got 2 corners, we try to have 3 guys. If we have quarterback position, just 1 guy, we try to have 2 guys for the quarterback spot. Tight end position, usually just 1 guy, but we're lucky enough to have 2 guys that can play that. 2 guards, we try to have 3 guys ready to play, so we always have that 3rd guy. A 4th guy might make it where they're not quite as good. A lot of times backups are backups for a reason, but if you can have 3 guys that can play 2 spots, and so when a Kyrie goes down, we can just plug someone in like Valon Henderson, and it turns out to be okay.
Yeah. You're kind of masterful at this, I think, and your assistance with that, because if you've got somebody that's that talented, they're going to want to play. And so you got to come up with some type of rotation. Case in point, and I know you probably are sick of even talking about having 2 quarterbacks, but that's a kind of a norm for you. But given touches, that's how you do that. So, but isn't that hard to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity?
Yeah, and it's win or go home. So the
stakes are high.
The generosity touches, the make you feel good touches are all out the window. We're going to do what it takes to win. Right now we're rotating 3 guys at 2 offensive tackle spots, and I think there's probably all 3 of them want to be the starter only. But that's why they are who they are. We want them to be competitive, and we want them to win the spot outright. But we got 3 guys that can play those 2 positions. And cream usually rises to the top. Maybe one day it'll just be 2 guys. But in the meantime, we've got 3 guys that are very capable of playing offensive tackle. And, that's a luxury that not a lot of people have.
Kevin Creasy's here with us. Kevin, I'm going to ask you about your Mr. Footballs here in a second too, but I just thought of something that I had the chance to listen to some broadcast on Thursday night, and heard Gallatin broadcasters talking about the game the week before at Oakland Riverdale, and be nice to see Oakland take an L, and then I heard that in the press box at Lebanon last night, and it just made me think, you guys play with a target on your back every single week. You don't have many fans in the corner that don't have the O on their helmet.
Well, that's usually kind of a badge of honor when you got all these surrounding county guys that wouldn't mind seeing you lose. Lebanon's had plenty of opportunities to make us lose. Gallatin had their shot, didn't quite get there. So, anytime they want to schedule a non-region game, we're always looking. So we had never shied away from playing anybody from Middle Tennessee, that's for sure.
And they're never the ones that call you to say, hey, I'll play you a game, are they?
Yeah, they aren't looking too hard. So
they might drive 2 hours away instead of coming 30 minutes, right?
Well, like I said, they got my number.
Okay. Well, Mr. Football semifinalists were announced this week, and you have 2 of the semifinalists, which to have one is an honor. To have two is a great honor, and couldn't happen to two better kids in Craig Tutt and Joel Wyatt.
Yeah. Craig's been a force on both sides of the ball since he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And, we talk about a freshman quarterback starting, and a freshman O-line and Trent Gibbs starting. In the past, it's been we never start sophomores. And Craig Tutt started as a sophomore, had a heck of a career so far. Hopefully he has 4 more great games. And then Joel Wyatt, man, he's just a complete football player. If you're going to design a football player, you're going to make the measurables like he is, 89-inch wingspan, 6'4.5", got a 40-inch vertical, runs a 10-500 meter. So yes, he's very deserving of Mr. Football
and I've
nomination.
heard from many people that one of the nicest kids that you'll ever meet.
That's right. He is, and like I said, he was raised right, and you could tell his grandmother had a great influence on him, and we're reaping the benefits of that because he's a pleasure to be around, a delight in the weight room, real good in the locker room, fit in perfect with us, and he's a competitor, and he's harder on himself than anybody else is. So you don't really have to get after him too much because he's really making sure that he's making the plays he's supposed to, and correcting any mistakes that he makes.
Well, Coach, a chance to play at home once again Friday night. It's Bradley Central. It's a team that we've had to become a little familiar with. 2 years ago, you went to Bradley Central in the semifinals, and because of the way the brackets are done now, it's an earlier meeting. But I think that was the first football meeting, at least in a while. 38-17 win there. But that was 2 years ago. What do you know about the Bears?
Well, we're familiar with the Bears just because of Coach Floyd. I think Damon Floyd does a heck of a job, but at the same time, they had one of the best players in the state on the team, Boo Carter.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's graduated, but at the same time, last time we played them, Doodle scored, I think, all 5 of our touchdowns. So we'll be missing him like they're missing Boo, I'm sure. But both those guys are at UT now. With that said, Coach Floyd got his team to fight back. We had a heck of a game with those guys. It was the first time in my 10 years that we didn't play Maryville, and so we had to go play them at their place, and we go up 17-0, and they fight back and tie the game 17-17, and things got real hairy. And so credit to those guys. They always play hard. They're a hard-nosed bunch, tough kids, and always well coached.
They don't have as much familiarity, and so you may get up on an opponent here 17-0. It's like, oh well, here's the train, but not them.
Right.
And they're going to bring that same mentality on Friday night.
That's right. I'm sure they're going to pull up a tape from a couple years ago and just be like, look, we had these guys on the ropes, and they could have been us playing the state championship. They were 1 week away, so they had a good bunch that year, and they got a good bunch this year. And to go on the road and win at Jefferson County, I think Jefferson County was 9-1. To go on the road and to beat those guys, it's pretty impressive. That
was another one of those upsets, 2 going to a 3, and doing that at Jeff County. So that'll be next Friday night, barring any weather, I guess. But I guess you have to say, but it's definitely going to turn colder, and we're going to see that when you're playing this time of the year. But they sell hand warmers, and you've got hot chocolate at the stadium, so no reason not to come out.
That's right. You better come on out and get you a good seat while you can.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you coming in this morning. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you at Friday night with Bradley Central.
All right, sounds good.
Coach Kevin Creasy joining us this morning on the Coach's Show, brought to you by Middle Tennessee Electric, serving our community by providing affordable, reliable, and safe electricity. Online at mte.com.
Rely on the experienced professional